Hi, I'm Amanda Del Monte, and this video is on Chapter 1, The Water Planet. I learned a few things in Chapter 1. First off, the stars are responsible for the formation of elements of anything heavier than lithium, and also some stars are still being formed from even when the Big Bang Theory happened, so that was quite some time ago. Another thing is a cluster equals thousands of galaxies, which really helps you put into perspective how big our universe is, because sometimes you forget about it, but we're really just like a speck of sand. Another thing is the size of the major oceans, from largest to smallest, are Pacific, Atlantic, which is only half the size of the Pacific Ocean. Then there's the Indian, Southern, and Arctic. Another thing is today we live in the Holocene epoch of the Quaternary period of the Cenozoic era, which, if you would have said that before, I would have had no idea at all what we're talking about and would have thought you just made that up. Another thing is 71% of Earth is covered by oceans. I knew it was around that much, but I didn't know the specifics. Another thing is the deepest point in the ocean is located in the Mariana Trench, which is in the western Pacific Ocean. Another thing is there are liquid oceans on other planets, specifically on moons, and I thought that was very interesting because there's always talk about, oh, there's not enough water or resources like that to go live in other planets. So hopefully we can find somewhere to live if Earth ever loses all its resources. Some things I found interesting are, at first, there was two theories about the Earth and how it formed, and it started off as a dry planet, so no water, and eventually the water came up from volcanic eruptions and stuff like that. But then more recently, it was said it started as a wet planet. So I thought that was interesting how it varied that much. They're complete opposites. But they said there still needs to be more research done on what exactly it is. Another thing I found interesting is Earth is around 4.5 to 4.6 billion years old, and that is based off of isotopes. And they went through many series of evolutions and new technologies to learn how old it actually is. So I think it's interesting to see if we come up with more newer and better technology, if maybe the Earth is even older than that. You never know. Another thing is Martian and Earth rock share a lot of the qualities, which is promising for future research, because I know we're going to Mars soon with NASA, and it'll be interesting to see if we can actually sustain human life there. Another thing is the heating and differentiation that occurred when Earth was forming. It was a major contributor to the oceans, which I had no idea at first, and about how really the oceans were created, and I would have had no idea that they played such a big role in it. Another thing is there is a fixed amount of water on Earth, and I think that's interesting because we are always talking about how Earth is running out of water and we need to find new water or drinkable water and stuff like that. But if there's always the same amount of water, then why are we in such a fuss about it? Because clearly there's always going to be the same amount of water then. Another thing is our solar system began with a collapse and started from just a single cloud of gas and dust, which is called a nebula. So I thought that was very interesting because I didn't know how really it formed and stuff like that, and just to think it's crazy how just a single cloud of gas or dust can form such a huge thing. Another thing is I found interesting was that how early on and even now the Hubble telescope really helped contribute to a lot of discoveries about Earth, and a lot to how the Big Bang Theory happened. And my 3 questions are, why isn't there more planets created like Earth that we could live on? The next one is, what determines the cutoff points for the ocean and why separate them into so many? And the third is, if there is a fixed amount of water on Earth, why are people always concerned about there not being enough water?